Hey, everybody. Welcome to another experience of me and Paranormal You. This is actually a third year bonus. It's not an experience. I don't know why I called it an experience. Probably because I haven't done a third year bonus in a minute. Um, I have been uh, traveling. Obviously, I'm on the float. I'm in the liminal space currently without, a home base per se, even though I'm back in my origin areas, for sure, back where, you know, the family originated back in these parts many years ago. So, lots of things are going on. First of all, let's get this off at the top. Thank you to everyone who backed and supported and shared and showed love to the Kickstarter campaign for CrystalEyes. We successfully funded, I think it was like 116%. So we're very excited. We almost hit, I guess we got into the neighborhood of 15,000, even though our goal was 12,000. So thank you very, very much for that. We're very excited about the progress. I'll be getting the iPhone version of the app to play around with here in a few days, I think. And then breaking news here, I'll let you know here, even though we're not advertising dates or things like that, but we're going to start beta testing. I think it's going to be in the next week and a half or so. We're going to be sending out links to beta testers. And if you're wondering how do you be a beta tester, if you're wondering how to be a beta tester, you just sign up on the mailing list, on the waiting list. And that is crystalleyes.app/early access. And you'll get on the waiting list for the app. Anyone who's on the waiting list, 6,000 people at this point, will be, if they choose to be beta testers, they'll have early access to the app. And they're going to try to break it for us, break the app, tell us what sucks so we can fix it right quick. And get it in the App Store a few weeks, hopefully a few short weeks later. So it's all happening. It's all going on. And related news, my buddy Angela, her website, stregsy.com. They are, they're getting real close to. So it's like a psychic marketplace on the internet. So that's going to be amazing as well. So shout out to Angie. Shout out to Angie and Stregsy. So we've got a lot of exciting partners lined up for CrystalEyes. So yeah, that's great. I'm doing a show tomorrow night in a backyard. I am second dose Donnie over here. I've been second dosed. And I'll tell you, I had my second dose on Tuesday. Sorry, this is coming up late. You'll understand here in a second. But so on Tuesday, I get my second dose in the morning and then I'm fine. My arm is immediately sore, but I'm totally fine. I feel good. I feel great. And then I just go about living my life, chugging a bunch of water the night before, chugging a bunch of water during the daytime, and chugged a few big old glasses of water before I went to get the shot in the morning, and then was pretty much chugging water all day and night afterwards, staying super hydrated. I was peeing like every 20 minutes. And then the next day, woke up feeling good and went and ran a couple errands, went to the baseball card shop because it was a release day for a new set of baseball cards that I like. They were too expensive. So I walked out of the store without buying anything because I was like, yeah, I'm trying to save up for a new apartment. I don't need to be spending hundreds of dollars on baseball cards, right? Although I may go back today, depending on how things go. I'm feeling itchy over here for some cards, for some ripping. Anyway, so I got too much stuff to do. Don't worry about this. So, and then around 4:30 on Wednesday, the day after the shot, I'm all of a sudden, it's like I'm the Energizer Bunny who's been drained, right? So I lay down because I'm like, oh, my whole body's kind of sore a little bit. And I lay down and cut to Thursday around 1:30 in the afternoon is when I get out of bed. So I was out, dude. It's like someone tranquilized me. It was like someone hit me with a tranquilizer. And I'm going to blame it on the second dose of the Moderna vaccine. But truth be told, maybe I just needed a good excuse to sleep for like 18 hours. Maybe that's, and I did watch some TV though, because at like 10:30 at night, I woke up and I was like, oh, I'm pretty wide awake right now. So I watched some Mandalorian on Disney Plus, and then fell back asleep probably around 1:30. But yeah, and you know, I feel good. I feel good. I feel like I'm back today. Today's Friday. So I was pretty much out for the count. And then yesterday I didn't feel like I was fully back to being myself necessarily energy wise. I had a bunch of other stuff to do, but I wasn't able to, I had to push a couple interviews that were scheduled for the Mindcast. That's why this is a 30-year bonus, because I had to cancel some interviews that I had scheduled on Wednesday. I made the mistake of loading myself up on a Wednesday with a bunch of stuff to do, and I had to kind of cancel all that. So anyway, but I'm doing good. Second dose Donnie over here. I'm ready to hit the road. I'm ready to perform in 2 weeks' time when I'm fully vaccinated, officially fully vaccinated 2 weeks after I get the second dose, I guess. So, but I am doing an outside show tomorrow night in Cincinnati. In a backyard show, socially distanced, limited people. Excited about that. And then, as you saw, patrons saw, I posted a bunch of videos of this haunted school building. I'm scouting for a location to film, film an hour. I mean, I've been doing stand-up comedy way too long to not have a video, an hour-long video, like a special, as we call them. I've been doing stand-up way too long. I got 4 albums. I got 4 hours out there. Why don't I have a video hour? I guess I should have had a video every time I recorded an album, now that I think about it. But hey, what are you going to do? So we're working on that, but it's going to be a hybrid, I think. It's going to be, that's the idea. I'm kind of working with some ideas. You know me, I don't like to do things necessarily the way they've always been done. So we're playing with some ideas. I'd like it to be a little bit different and obviously pretty weird. So we're working on some things like that and seeing, if just it works financially. So that's kind of the updates. I'll be heading back to Los Angeles here in a couple of weeks. As soon as my vaccination period is official, soon after that, I'll be heading back to Los Angeles to get an apartment with my girlfriend, and we will be living back in Los Angeles proper at that point. So we'll be home base will be back in LA, and I'm excited to get back there. I know that there's some wildfires happening right now, but anyway, lots have been going on. Lots have been going on. There's lots have been going on. A lot has been going on. Lots have been. I have a degree in English, ladies and gentlemen, and I can't figure this one out. Plural makes it singular, but then, vice versa. Anyway, so a lot has been going on. Lots been going on. That's because I was I was making a conjunction and then throwing the words. Like I didn't not have it. That's what I was doing there. Okay, figured it out. Mystery solved. So lots have been going on. Lots been going. God damn, I did it. Lots been going on. Some real fun interviews recently. I hope you check those out. Here's what I'm going to be doing now. I'm going to be releasing video of the interviews and 30-year bonuses on most times I do 30-year bonuses. I'll be releasing them on Patreon early, and then I'm going to be releasing them to the general public later. So not every guest wants to be on camera. So if a guest doesn't want to be on camera, we're not going to have video of it. So I will be releasing some of the older videos of interviews on the YouTube page that I've had, because I've had video of, a ton of interviews just sitting over on the Patreon page for a while now. And since I started doing that, and so I figure I might as well start releasing those to the general public as well. Lots of people, turns out, watch or listen to podcasts on YouTube. I've known this for at least 6 years. I've known this for at least 6 years, and for some reason, I've only released a handful on YouTube, and they all have a decent, and some of them have a lot of listens. And I don't know why. I'm just not. I'm not resistant to change. I'm resistant to having to do a bunch more work, right? Or resistant to having to pay money and, blah, blah, blah. But I've released all of that. So now money flows to and through me. So I am going to be releasing, YouTube, doing the Mindcast. The Mindcast is going to be living on YouTube as well, but just on my Ryan Singer channel. So you can find it /Ryan J Singer, where this one. And sometimes they'll just kind of, maybe I'll be doing live ones because I keep talking about, I'm going to do this, Wednesday night thing, and I'm going to be doing it. Life has been crazy around here with the app. Like trying to launch a business has been a little more, there's been a little more on my plate than I originally anticipated. So a lot's been going on in my life, but like more importantly, and I don't hesitate saying more importantly, there's a lot going on in the world, and specifically inside the world of the paranormal, there is going to be a transition back into live events and things like that coming sometime soon. I just saw Contact in the Desert was announced for this June. That happens out in Joshua Tree. UPARS, UFO Paranormal Research Society, which I go and see their, I'm a member of UPARS. My buddy Alex Mastretta helps run that. They kind of put on that conference with some other folks like Jimmy Church and some other people. That's happening in June, but they're doing it virtually. So even though it's in June, they're still going to be doing it virtually. But I do believe, I think the Tucson Gem and Mineral Show just happened live though, just a few weeks ago, in the Phoenix, in the Tucson area. So things are starting to transition back into live events, and I will be performing stand-up comedy live as well. But there's lots of moving pieces we're figuring out about that. But the importance of all of this is that people getting together. I mean, we are connected through the internet. We are connected right now through the internet, through the magic of streaming and, downloading, et cetera, and fiber optics and Wi-Fi and all that good stuff. But there's something missing when we're not able to be around each other. And we will be getting back to that at some point soon. People can say a lot of things to somebody over the internet that they would never say to the other person's face. And why is that? I think a large part of that is because they are able to not look at them as a human being when they're not around them. And when you actually see another person whose flesh, blood, and consciousness is standing in front of you, it becomes much more difficult to be cruel to them and to not have an energetic connection to them in some way. So having said all that, all the speculation about the triangle video, and I mean, obviously the flying triangle, it's real, and it's been confirmed by the government. It just came out a few weeks ago. This is just another video in the long line of evidence about UFOs. I don't think there's really anybody out there holding out on the UFO argument, right? Is there anybody still being like, oh, UFOs, I don't know. There are those who think that it's a government-driven power grab based in fear. And I could be 100% incorrect. I could be totally wrong about this. I just don't think that's what it is. And we've been talking on the show for a while about disclosure and how I started to believe that real disclosure would be the government admitting, telling everyone what they don't know, as opposed to what they do know. I mean, I'd still like to know what they do know, but I'd like to know what they don't know on top of what they do know. But if one tells you the other, usually you can piecemeal together the other. Although it's much easier to know what they don't know when they tell you what they do know. But if they tell you what they don't know, it's a little more dicey trying to figure out what they do know. Am I losing anybody on, are you feeling confused? Like, for example, if I told you I'm going to serve you a pasta dish, Okay, now you know it's pasta. So you know there's a noodle in there of some kind, right? Or it could be a salad pasta. Who knows? Um, that's not a thing. Or is it? It doesn't matter. But if I said, I'll tell you what's not in the pasta, artichokes, green beans, asparagus, peas, carrots. That's not in the pasta. You, you don't know what's in the pasta, right? You don't know what's in the pasta. Is it tomato based? These are things we want to know as a people. But if I said, okay, here's some pasta, it's tomato based. It has chunks of tomato in addition to the tomato base. It has spiral noodles, and it has uh, baked tofu, garlic, and I was going to say olives, and some olive oil, olives, and a side of French toast, French bread. Not French toast. That would be good though. Then you know exactly what's in the pasta. And you also know what's not in the pasta. This isn't the best analogy per se, but if you think of the pasta as knowledge about UFOs and extraterrestrials, this is what this is where we are now. We've got, tic tac, we've got triangles. It's like these vehicles, these UFOs, these UAPs. These UFOs. Isn't it funny how we choose to be bastards about certain things? Like I'm choosing to be a bastard about UAP. I'm not calling them a fucking UAP. Okay. I will be a bastard about that. I'm not going to call them UAPs because Hillary Clinton called them UAPs on Jimmy Kimmel Live. Now I'm supposed to just be regurgitating that term as having credibility, because here's the thing we talk about, like the paranormal world trying to have credibility, grasping for credibility within the scientific community or through formalized government, acknowledging that we're not crazy, that the things we believe in are real, when it's like the old adage, like you can't love someone else unless you love yourself. And, maybe I've been watching too much RuPaul Drag Race because of my partner, but or you can't be truly happy unless you're happy with yourself. And it's like what we can't feel validated, we can't feel official until we're validated or made official by an outside source. No, it has to come from within. When you feel like you're having a valid experience, when you feel like your beliefs are based in genuine, true, and obvious to you reasons, you don't need outside validation. Although, no person is a rock, no person is an island. It is nice to have outside validation to not feel crazy, right? But this seeking outside validation and then just regurgitating, parroting, or whatever we want to call it, changing our vernacular, because someone who's official has decided that that's what they're called now. We're calling them UAPs now. Oh, are we? Are we calling them UAPs now because you said so? I'm calling them a UFO. So I'm going to call them a UFO. Maybe I'll make up my own name and then I'll say, we're calling them, well, okay, you can call them UAPs, but over here, we're calling them what the fucks. Or we're calling them who gadgets. Who gadgets? Who gadgets? I don't know. We're calling them WGs. Who gadgets? We call them who gadgets. We call them WGs now. Do you understand my frustration here when it comes to like everyone just so quickly adopting UAP as what they're supposed to be called now because of the connotations attached to UFO? We're moving towards UAP more efficiently. We're all talking about the same thing. There's no reason for me to be getting upset about this other than just like And it's not an indication of having your mind control or your thoughts controlled, but 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 our thoughts, feelings, and emotions, desires, etc., they find their life, they come to life through our expression of them, oftentimes in language. There are other ways to do it, obviously, and that's, nonverbal communication is the majority of the communication, many people will say, through physical ways. But our expression of our thoughts and our feelings and our wants and our desires, our fears, our hopes, our dreams through spoken language is very important, and it's profound. And the complexity of our language, even though when compared to the range of emotions, feelings, and thoughts, and hopes, and desires, and fears that we have, could be considered, at least I would consider it, rudimentary and almost at times failing, much in the same way people talk about there's no real way to describe, through words, your experience on DMT. I think that's not just DMT. It's about all of the range of emotions and the complexity of our consciousness that we have, that we want to communicate, right? So the words we use are very important. And this is why it pains me that I haven't taken the time still to really fully master a second language, because the more words you know, the more nuance in language you have at your command, the greater expanse of your thinking, right? You can think bigger. Your mind is larger when you can express yourself in more ways verbally. You just therefore have more space, more expansiveness in the effectiveness of your communication, right? You can reach more people. You can just think bigger. You can think wider. You can think differently. And I'm sure people have done studies on this, but I would be very fascinated to know what the difference. And they handle this in Arrival, and they kind of touch on it in the movie Arrival, and in a certain kind of way, when it comes to the way the different countries are handling the arrival of these UFOs, and the dialogue that has started, even though it's not a conversation, the way you handle interaction is a dialogue, it's a conversation, and the different approaches that occur culturally. Everybody says French is the language of love, it's like the romance, like, oh, French is sexy, right? Like, so it's like, we already know this. We already know that there's a difference in the type of language you speak, kind of has an identity to it already, right? It's kind of living, breathing thing. I mean, language is a living, breathing organism in many senses, because it's always adapting, always changing and evolving. So our thoughts are always adapting, evolving, changing, hopefully, right? If there is growth, you would like to think that there is that there's change happening, even if it's not becoming different, it's becoming bigger, and then maybe it goes smaller, and then it gets bigger again. It's a cycle, right? So when we are being guided, getting back to the point, I think there is maybe it's an unauthorized asshole point, UAP. My UAP here, my unauthorized asshole point, me being an asshole about UAPs, is this: when people are telling you what words to use, and what a thing now is to be referred as, or referred to as, however you say that, they, in some way, whether nefariously or not, are controlling your thoughts, right? Education is the controlling of thought. It is the fostering, the labeling, the introduction of categorization of thought. Without education, without someone teaching you, and when I say education, I mean education in its many forms, learning language, learning how to speak, and learning what to say and when to say it, et cetera, et cetera. That is the education I'm speaking of. So, ironic, very onomatopoeic. So, what you have is you have someone going on television telling people what we call them now, and we was never explained. And then you have now a large community of people starting to use that phrase like a domino effect, to where now UAPs are predominantly, well, not predominantly, who knows, but I mean, a lot of people are now using UAP. And I know I'm belaboring this point, but it's just because Hillary Clinton goes on a late night comedy show and says they're UAPs. Now everyone calls them UAPs. Is this not controlling thought? Is this not? And maybe it's not controlling thought, but it's changing the narrative, right? To some degree, it is changing things. Someone took a lead, planted a seed, and now it's grown. She took the lead, planted a seed, and everyone calls them UAP. I'm not going to do it. It's UFO, although I've said UAP more than I've ever said in my life just now. Oh, you got to love your water. You're beautiful. You're beautiful. You're okay. You don't really care that much, do you? Why would you ask a question at the end? I'm talking to my water bottle. It's alive. I mean, but the bottle is everything alive? Isn't everything alive, man? Oh yeah, it is. So more and more people, the more and more videos that are released and are confirmed by the government, the more and more credibility that UFOs have, yet still not the number one topic on everyone's mind. Why is this? Why is the existence of outside intelligence that can travel through space-time, why is this not priority number one? Why is this not what everyone is talking about? Why? What else is happening? What else is going on that's stopping us, clouding our judgment, distracting us? Well, there's a global pandemic, right? Fair point, friend. Fair point. And I'm also like hyper obsessed with materialism in some strange way, where I like hyper obsessed with getting a new car. And by new car, I just mean new to me, not brand new. I mean, no way. I need, see these words I'm using? I want a 4-wheel drive vehicle so I can go on my expeditions. See, this is like, to me, it's like a sign of overcoming my fear and overcoming the crippling fear that washed over me after my experience in Florida nearly 2 years ago now. It's me wanting to get back out there. The fact that I want a 4-wheel drive vehicle or an all-wheel drive vehicle shows me that I'm willing to go out into the woods again or go out into the mountains, right? And, you know, go to be able to access locations that my 2006 Toyota Camry could not access. So is this an elaborate justification? Because I don't want a gas guzzling vehicle that's bad for the environment, because we're destroying the planet, and it's happening yesterday, right? And an interesting aspect of climate change and everything else is how big business, how corporations have put it on the consumer to feel responsible when they're the ones who have been selling us all this shit that have been polluting. And we've taken all of the responsibility on our shoulders when it's them. It's them who made the decisions to be using plastics. It's them. It's not us. We can show them with our purchasing power, that we will no longer buy these products. But it's a backwards fucking system how that happens. Instead of them taking responsibility, they have to be forced by their wallet to change, to do the right thing. Rich people think their money is God and will save them and bring them salvation from anything, including climate change. Your money ain't gonna save you, Thomas. I don't know who Thomas is. If your name is Thomas, no offense. But Thomas, your money ain't gonna save you. Not from climate change. So how long have we been doing this? Not that long. I have no idea what time is anymore. So basically, I've been going off about this, like, I don't know why. I wasn't even planning on talking about UAPs today. It just happened. And I'd like to think it's really not that big of a deal. But like, apparently it's a big deal to me, even though I really do think I'm just being a bastard. You know, in a moment, I'd like to think I do have moments of self-awareness and clarity. I do think I'm being a bastard about the UAP versus UFO thing, but I feel like I had to mention it, right? Because when it comes to, you hear a lot about mind control and thought control, and people won't get vaccinated because of this or that and the microchip. Well, guess what? Of all the people talking about they don't want to get vaccinated, I don't think I wanted to hug any of them anyways. So it doesn't really matter to me. No, I'm just kidding. I didn't mean to be cruel. It's almost like I feel like I got to say, like, trying to defend vaccination at this point is like, I almost feel like I'm trying to explain to someone why they need to drink water on a regular basis. And then they're like, well, prove it to me. And it's just like, anger is a side effect of dehydration. So I'm thrilled to be fucking vaxxed. I'm double dose Donnie over here, and I couldn't be happier about it. And being in Ohio is what made it happen for me a little faster than if I was in California, I could have gotten the dose, vaccination starting a handful of weeks ago, but it happened a little faster for me here in Ohio. So I'm happy about that. But when it comes to, when I say like thought control and trying to control the narrative, I'm not necessarily saying that there's some bigger, Machiavellian plan here. There's not some grand scheme and conspiracy at play. Because I honestly do believe that when it comes to UFOs, that the disclosure of not knowing what the hell these things are is more than likely the case. Although you do hear stories about military people having encounters with ETs, and that there are arrangements and treaties and that sort of thing happening. So what is the truth? Do they not know anything? Or are they just acting like they not? Are they just acting like they not know anything? They acting like they not know anything. Are they just acting like they don't know anything? when in fact they know a lot more. Like, give them a little piece to keep them on the line, right? To kind of satisfy this hunger for information and knowledge. Do we just feed them little crumbs? And the conspiratorial part of my brain, which still exists and is still in there, wants to say, yeah, they're just giving us a little piece. They're not giving us the whole story. And this whole idea of national security bullshit, I'm sorry, I don't buy it. Everybody's talking about national security. It's a matter of national security. It's not a matter of national security. It's a matter of, look around the world. You have your cell phones. You have your laptops. You're listening to this on a smart device, right? You have access to all of the history of human beings since the beginning of recorded history, right? You have a million times the Vatican Library at your fingertips. You have information. You have power in that sense. So where can you, and now if information is power, if knowledge is power, let's say it like that. If knowledge is power, knowledge has become more scarce in its ability to be hoarded or kept away, right? So people don't realize how much knowledge and power they have at their fingertips on a conscious level. I think on a subconscious level they do, and that's why there's been an uptick in people being an asshole. No one thinks they can be told anything anymore because they've got all of human history at their fingertips, and they subconsciously realize that, and so they know, don't try to tell me anything. I'm the smartest person who's ever lived because I've got a cell phone. Okay, so I think as like a result of having all of this knowledge on a subconscious level, so many of us, and I'm not going to act like I don't do it myself, have become just insufferable assholes when they, don't try to tell us anything, right? So it's these, we already have robot minds. We already are merging with technology. We already have merged. People's like, when's singularity going to happen? It's like, it's already fucking happening, man. We're already merging. We're already so dependent, leashed to the phone, tethered, right? Panicked when separated from our transactive brain. Panic. Where's my brain? I don't know where I am. I don't know what time it is. I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. I don't know. Right? We used to keep all that shit up here or in a notebook. So the knowledge of all of human history at our fingertips, that's power. Do we understand that? Do we take advantage of it? Now, people say, well, there's ancient mystery schools, there's esoteric knowledge. Trust me, you can find almost any of that esoteric knowledge on the internet nowadays, or in books. You can just order the books off thriftbooks.com. Thriftbooks.com. If you're listening, big fan. All of my books, if I ever buy a physical copy of a book, it comes from that, a used book website. So if you're listening, I'd love to get a sponsorship or a gift card. So, thriftbooks.com. What knowledge is still available or is becoming available that can be kept over here, separate from everything else, and therefore become powerful? Aliens and UFOs is one of them. It's one of these. It's always going to be. It's either going to be cutting edge information, new knowledge, or it's going to be ancient knowledge that's been kept under lock and key. If I had to guess, those are, I'm just kind of formulating this as we go here. But those are the two types of knowledge that can still be used to wield power, right? So why would you give up one of your last power resources, which is information and knowledge about UFOs and ETs, when you didn't have to. At least you didn't feel like you weren't being compelled enough to do so. You weren't being, your hand wasn't being forced in that way. But I would argue here today to the good people listening to this program that the disclosure of not knowing, of what they don't know, I feel like I'm just like I'm shooting my own tail on this one, but it's like, well, what you get what you want and then you say it's bullshit. I understand that. They're saying they don't know what these things are. And I'm not sure I believe that. Oh God, how can you even say that? Like, because I also am a victim of over 100 years of propaganda trying to influence us to not trust government. Right? Capitalism and those who are in control of media and profiting from commerce in a free market system have been doing a really great job for the past 100 plus years in a propaganda campaign to make phrases like the government be bad words. And Noam Chomsky could do a lot better job about describing any of this than I could. But I will tell you this. It's not like I'm immune to all of this, It's not like I'm made of, Teflon or Velspar. I also, am affected by these things. So the fact that they're saying we don't know, and then I'm like, that's bullshit. You do know. But right before that, I was saying, tell us what you don't know. And then they're like, well, we don't know what this is. And I'm like, well, you're lying now. It's like, damned if you do, damned if you don't. So we have to make choices about who we believe and when we believe them. And I guess it's just not always easy. But at the end of the day, we have to decide for ourselves what it is. It's not because I think something, it's because you think something, you believe something. That's where your decisions have to come from. I mean, I certainly hope I'm not your source, right? And I say that in a loving way because I got so many things I'm trying to do in my life between, the paranormal and mostly stand-up comedy, first and foremost, how I make my living, or, and will again soon. And then the Crystal app, and then baseball cards, my relationship, all these other things that, I'm not this solely focused, hyper obsessed, uncover the truth of UFOs at all costs kind of thing. Because my interest in the paranormal is so wide ranging that I find myself sliding into shorter periods of time where I get hyper obsessed with a certain subject, and then I move on to another subject. And I mean, this whole thing started because of shapeshifters. And look where we are now. Look, I'm going off on a tangent about UAPs. It's like, I thought you were trying to find information, try to find other people who could shapeshift. And it's like, yeah, I am. I just need a travel show where I'm trying to find shapeshifters. I tried to pitch that to a production company. I was talking to a friend of mine who's very smart. He's like, yeah, that's a difficult sell. He's like someone who's like in the industry. Yeah, it's a difficult sell. Trying to get a network to understand like the appeal of a TV show where a guy in real life is traveling around trying to find people who can shapeshift. Won't be such a crazy idea another 15 years, but we'll see. We'll see. I'm excited about the future. I'm going to wrap this up. Um, I guess the point of all this one was I don't really know what the point was. It's other than, what are the narratives that we buy into? What are the stories that we tell ourselves, and what are the stories that are told to us that we then choose to believe? And it's important to self-reflect and try to examine why we believe certain things. What story is being told that we relate to, and why do they resonate with us? There's certain reasons why a specific story will hit home with us. And there are some mysteries of the universe that I'll never quite understand. For example, why do really old, beautiful, like country songs, why do they sound so good to me? Why is it that music that hits me in such a way? Why is it that, like old rock, like the beginning of rock and roll, like whether it's, that early phase of it anyway, of like, the Turtles or the Grassroots, like a couple songs from the Mamas and Papas. Why does John Denver, why did these tones, why does the musicality of these type of songs, why does it spark joy in me? That's a mystery, right? Some of these things we can't understand. At least maybe we can. I don't know, but I don't know how I could understand that. When something sounds nice to you, it just sounds nice, right? But there are other things that we can examine, like what stories are we buying into? What stories have we been told that we believe? Why do they resonate with us? What is it about our own beliefs that maybe they're reinforcing, that makes us feel smart, that validates us? Like, yeah, I knew that. That's what I thought too. This person's honest. This person's smart because I agree with what they said. And it's tough not to fall into that trap. And I fall into it constantly, all the time. I'm falling into that trap. There is a certain vibration to certain types of content, though, that I just can't be around. Physically, I can't be around it. If it's confrontational and if it's coming from a dark space like that, which a lot of content nowadays on the internet is coming from, because people love clicking on the drama and on the conflict and all that kind of stuff. I just can't. I feel it. It affects me in a physical way. I can't do it. Sometimes even when it's fabricated for fictional purposes, it starts getting a little too much for me. But I just need to put up bigger buffers, maybe. Just need to buff out my empath bubble. Buff out my empath bubble. That's a tough sentence to say. Need to buff it out. Anyway, I hope you're doing well. If you haven't been vaccinated yet, I hope you want to get vaccinated, and I hope you will. I don't want mutant strains sprawling around the world till the end of time, like they already have begun to. I do hope you get vaccinated, but make your own choice. Make up your own mind on that. Black Lives Matter. Always have, always will. Get vaccinated. And anybody who thinks you're virtue signaling, I bet 8 times out of 10 they wouldn't even know how to define what the fuck that even means. It's okay to be a snowflake. It's okay to love the word sanctuary, and it's okay to care about others and not just yourself, or the bottom dollar, the bottom line financially. In the world economy, when we've all been convinced that the world economy is the most important thing to take care of as opposed to people, take a step back and think about that. The people who think the world economy and the health of the world economy is the most important thing, it's like, get a fucking grip, man. You've spun off the globe. You forgot what it was to be a person. So anyway, maybe when they spin off the globe, one of these UFOs will pick them up and maybe remind them. Do they not know what UFOs are or where they're coming from? Or do they? Unfortunately, I don't have the answer to that. I have to make up my mind whether I believe them or not. I do know that the two narratives, we'll talk about that more again later, but because it's an ongoing topic, but the narratives, like which side you're going to be on, is it like, the government's using all this to try to create fear so they can control everybody, or are UFOs all about love and consciousness and, kind of thing? Is the truth maybe somewhere in the middle, in the liminal space? Probably. I feel like I've been floating in the liminal space for a while. No home, moving into a new place, milestones, liminality everywhere, the launching of a new company, what's going to happen with it? Will it be successful, or will it be a huge financial disaster that I've invested so much time and money into? Blah, 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 blah. That's not going to happen because we're manifesting abundance and joy, and abundance of joy and joyful abundance. That's the things we're manifesting. I love you. I hope you love yourself. Take care of yourself. Be safe. It's starting to warm up. Oh my God, the trees here are becoming green in Ohio. It's beautiful. I get so excited when it's warm, when you can wear a t-shirt at night in the Midwest. That's when things start to feel alive. So hopefully we'll all be able to be outside sometime in the near future. And hopefully I'll see you at a show later this year. And if not, I'll just keep seeing you at the watering hole on the astral plane.